Olsen, I think you're next. I apologize if I've gotten everybody out of order.
Yeah, so I will be voting against this, and it's for one simple reason. Who put us in these seats? Who gave us the responsibility over this area? Was it the Minnesota Historical Society? Was it the National Park Service? No, it was our constituents. And 99% of them do not want it. None of them are asking for this. And as one mentioned, if these other organizations so badly want this area fenced off, they should do it themselves. We don't have to be the ones implementing this because our constituents do not want it. And it is indeed a really important crown jewel of our park system. I use it quite frequently with my dog. I really like it because, as another constituent mentioned, it's really nice for dogs who are kind of anxious to have this extra space. And they go in, and we are really, really making a small space by cutting it off. And if the Historical Society wants to do that, then they can do it. But we should not be taking this away from our constituents. And one of them is Tim Olsen, who's just there the other day with a big account. And so, even if you still think that it's really important that we take this away from our constituents, I would say that you should absolutely agree that this is not a consent item. And it's something that at this point clearly rises to a much higher level, particularly when you consider the de facto use of the space as opposed to some demarcated lines that have not really been relevant for the last 30 years. And I will just say, as far as the prairie remnant, it is important that we, totally fence that off, although in all my years of going, I have not seen a single dog in that area. It's not appealing for folks to go there, even the fence. They go in, we kind of go down to the beach, and then there's some kind of areas in the woods with some different paths that kind of lead down to the end that folks use. A lot of folks don't go up into that prairie area. And so when we're also talking about nature, yeah, okay, a deer was scared off by a dog, but a lot of animals, go around at night. If we fence off and have everything close off, as another constituent mentioned, that's going to be awful for movement of animals, and it's going to create a lot of fractured different areas that have no biological value for the greater landscape. And so I would just kind of urge all of you, all of my fellow commissioners here, to please consider what our constituents want and what they're asking for, and to prioritize them in this decision, not the Minnesota Historical Society.
The Minnehaha Athlete Recreation Area in advance of the scheduled Minnehaha Regional Park long-term plan update.
Second.
Fantastic. On to discussion. I'll say a couple words on the amendment. Commissioner Benny, I vacillated really all day on whether or not to support this because I do see clearly the intention you're going for here. And, it comes from a place of, I believe, hearing and seeing the emotion and the significance and the meaning that this space has for so many people. I feel that. I've responded to some of you with pictures of my dog Perry, who learned to swim here. And it has a lot of meaning to me as well. And it did when I voted against the fence plan last year. And so I have had time since then to take in more information, to process this, to work through my sense of loss of the space. And, my favorite spot was, frankly, down, if you're looking at this map, down at the very tip of the yellow there, way past our land, which ends at the power lines. The power lines to me is like, the park doesn't even hardly begin there. And so, I would, as folks start to kind of work and adapt to the space in their head, that's what we're talking about. So the intention of this amendment is to, I believe, what I think I would be voting for if I were to vote for it would be to giving time for folks to process this. That said, and that's valuable. That's certainly valuable because this is a complex issue and it's a heartfelt issue. However, looking further at it, I think it's important, we want to hear from people. We are hearing from folks right now. And what this would do is it would kind of delay things until September, where we would have a plan. And then the plan would take another several months to implement. And then we, would be kind of reaching back out to the Dakota elders and folks that we've been listening to and the national park folks, and putting staff then in a position to say, no, we don't think this is feasible. When 2 meetings ago, we had experts come before us and tell us that, I'm sorry, but this off-leash park is not feasible. And so what I really want and what I hope and what I think, Commissioner Engelhardt is saying in this being additive is I think we can take this energy and we can move it towards I think we can find a red space like this. I do think we can find somewhere on the river. I do think we can find maybe some water. If not, I think we can find an expansive wooded space within our park system. We do have plenty of space, and I know we can do that. And that's something that I'm going to be advocating incredibly hard for, because I understand that that's what folks go for. I mean, Perry, he does not get tired unless he swims. And I understand that a lot of you folks have dogs like that as well. And so I think, given that we're going in this similar, we probably end up in the same place. I don't want to mislead you. I don't want you to put energy towards, organizing and getting folks together and all this towards something that I think we're going to end up in a similar spot. So I will be voting against this amendment, but I seriously, with an open heart, let's work together to find an alternative, and let's work together to make sure that this space, even with leashed dogs, and beyond, is going to be an amazing cultural space and experience for all of us. Commissioner Engelhardt.
On with that is that let's put this energy into a net positive, more than one location. I mean, to be so passionate about these qualities of water that is not stagnant, that is moving. Yes, blue-green algae and other things will kill a dog and us as people. Elevation changes, wooded, spread out. It's the only dog park I would bring my dog to, because aggressive dogs just would go for her. People are yelling, name them. There are several. There are many locations in district, and to have one that effectively requires driving is an accessibility problem and not in line with this board's priorities on climate by any means. So having more, I don't think it's very expensive to fence off a place and put in possibly some wood chips.
Look towards a different resolution. I want to point out that this study was available and was not presented to the previous board. The previous board president, many of your district commissioner, Kathy Abeni, at the time.
Commissioner Frederick, please let's not be.
Right, I apologize.
Specific.
This study item could have been presented to community before, and I apologize that
Dry narcissism.
was not the case.
Who is it?
Herb Ertlinger.
Excuse me? You'll remember the name, Herb Ervling.
Too, and I can tell you more stories about being in deep depression.
Equitable middle.
So what did I just name?